Hello, today we're going to talk about creating objects in CoffeeScript, and I will tell you a little bit more about objects in a little bit, but before that, let's review some of the things that we know CoffeeScript understands already. So in many of our early lessons, we learned that CoffeeScript is very adept at doing arithmetic, so we can use data types that are essentially numbers, and we can combine them using arithmetic operators like the asterisk operator, which does multiplication. And then that can produce new results that are also basically numeric data types. And then we also learned about strings. So if I have hello and then I have world, I can concatenate them together using the plus operator and get hello world. And I can even, make sure I put a space between the words like that. So we've learned about the string data type, and then the last thing that we learned is the array data type. And so I can type in an array like that, and I can index it to get the first element. Remember that we start counting through arrays from 0, not from 1. And I haven't really explained why we do that yet, but just for now, just take it as a given that that's how we do it. So we have all these data types, and we're starting to see maybe how these data types are enough to start writing some pretty useful programs. But we haven't really figured out how to tell CoffeeScript about objects in the real world. So let's say that, let's talk about a car. What are some things that make up a car? Well, a car usually has a color. It has a year during which it was manufactured, and it has a make, and then it has some mileage. And there are probably a whole lot of other attributes of cars that we could think about. But for now, let's just see if we can turn this into a valid CoffeeScript program. So we're going to use basically CoffeeScript's notation for objects, and it uses indentation. So basically each attribute underneath the well, let me back up. We're going to assign the variable car using the object attributes that are below it, and you can see that these attributes are indented, and that's important. And then whenever we're dealing with text, we just need to make sure we quote it. So I'm going to do that for the non-numeric attributes of the car. And at this point, I'm pretty sure that I have a valid CoffeeScript program that just won't do anything yet, but I'm going to run it just to see if I get any errors. And okay, well, this is interesting. So I didn't get any errors, and by default, the console program always looks at the last statement that was executed, and it'll print out the value of that statement. But I can show you a little more clearly by making an explicit statement where I'm going to log the car itself. Okay, and now CoffeeScript tells me fairly unhelpfully that I'm dealing with an object, but that's important enough right there, because that's, if I had if I had assigned car to be 47, which doesn't really, or 47, which doesn't make any sense, I wouldn't have an object, I would just have a number. Objects actually have interesting attributes, so I can now use what's called the dot notation to find out things about my car. So if I say console.log car.color, I expect this program to look inside the object and figure out that it needs to get the color attribute because of using this syntax. And it should print out metallic blue. Let me highlight that more clearly, and so when I run the program, sure enough, it says metallic blue. And one nice thing about objects is that you can actually change their values over time. So let's see what my mileage is right now. We expect it to say 14,357. But then let's say that I drive 13 miles. My mileage will go up by the value 13, so I'm using the plus equals syntax to say that for this variable on the left, I want to increment its value by 13, and then I want to see what the new mileage is. I'm not sure if I'm spelling mileage right, by the way. I'm not sure if that E is necessary. But at any rate, the program now shows me the original mileage was 14,357, and then the new mileage is 14,370, so that seems valid to me. And then I can also do things like figure out how old the car is. So let's say I want to let's introduce a variable as a placeholder. So I'm going to say that the age of my car is the current year, which I will just hard code to 2011, and then I'm going to subtract the year that the car was made, which is again using the dot syntax, car.year, and then I'm going to output the age, which should be 1 year old. And indeed that works. Let me add a little bit of white space here to make the indentation a little more clear. So in this program, it's important to realize that these 5 lines really just make up a single statement, and these 4 lines here define the attributes of an object, and then those get assigned to a variable that holds that object, and we've given that variable the name car. And then in subsequent lines of the program, we can refer to these individual attributes by using this dot notation. So I can say car.mileage, and I can say car.year on the right-hand sides of these assignments, or on the right-hand sides of these console.log statements. And more importantly, I can even reassign the inner attributes using the dot notation on the left-hand side of our assignment operators. So that's just a brief introduction to objects. We will use these in more detail going forward. But for now, I hope you just get the high-level concept that we can tell CoffeeScript about objects that have multiple attributes, and we can kind of keep those attributes all bundled together under a single variable. Thanks.